You just had a record month. Revenue is the highest it's ever been. But you look at your bank account and you just think, where did all the money go? If this feels familiar to you, here's what's happening. Growing your revenue with the wrong systems or no systems in place doesn't make you richer, it makes you broke. My name's Abby Johnson, and here at Matterhorn Business Development, we have helped business owners in over 40 different industries escape this exact trap. All right, so let's talk about this a little bit more. You're adding revenue, so why isn't your profit growing? Why don't you have more money in the bank? So what happens when there's more money in the bank account is people automatically tend to spend that money. And you might think, oh no, I'm good at budgeting. I'm a very frugal person. People tend to always find a reason to spend money. You need to add more team members, you need more gear, you need the fanciest software, etc. And that's why most people fall into a trap that as their revenue grows, their spending grows with it and their profit actually becomes less and less. For example, I have a client who has a lawn care maintenance company. When they came to me, they were doing $3 million a year. That's really exceptional for a lawn care company. So you would think, wow, $3 million a year, they're doing so great, they're so successful. But when we first met in 2023, they had negative $22,000 in profit. They were struggling to pay their bills. They were struggling to make payroll. So what happened is his company was growing and growing, but the expenses were also growing. This can come from a variety of reasons. So this could be inefficiency in staff, expanding and making purchases before your business is actually ready for them, or improper pricing. In this person's case, it was mismanagement of funds and a lot of inefficiencies in the business. The other problem here is most people are managing their finances on the generally accepted accounting principles. So these are the rules that you see applied to your profit and loss statement. This is how you determine the profit of the business and what you are taxed on, and all of those fun accounting things. Now, this general formula is actually a broken formula. So we all know this formula. It's sales minus expenses equals profit. The revenue that comes in minus what you have spent, and what's left over is profit. Most people are managing their business this way. The problem is they end up spending most of the money on expenses and then just having pennies left over for profit. Now, this is why we love the Profit First system here at Matterhorn and why I've been certified and using this for 6+ years. The Profit First system actually flips this formula. So now we're going to make this formula sales minus profit equals expenses. So this means money comes in, revenue is made, you set aside for profit first, that's why it's called Profit First, and then you run the business on what's left over. So this makes you have to really confront what you are spending money on, what is actually in your expense bank account, because we're going to segment these things off into different bank accounts, and what you can actually afford. This really leads to innovation and less impulse spending on the part of the owner or whoever is in charge of the finances. Now, the way this works is you have 5 bank accounts. You direct all of your income into one bank account. That's the income account. So all your deposits are now going in one place and are separate from your expenses. It can get really hard to know what you can actually spend when you have incoming money and outgoing money in all one account. So you direct all your deposits to one account. Next, we allocate to a profit account. So this is what it means to set profit aside first. You set a percentage into this account anytime you are moving money out of the income account. Next, you allocate money into an owner's pay account. This account's going to tell you how much you can pay yourself, how much you can distribute, and helps ensure that you, the business owner, are always getting a paycheck. Now, this doesn't mean pay yourself and don't pay your employees if your business is struggling or anything like that. This is just giving you a system to pay yourself consistently. A lot of business owners come to me and maybe they're on payroll, but the payroll is less than their living expenses, or maybe they're not an S Corp yet, and so they're just taking distributions when they need groceries, when they need to pay their mortgage. This gives you the same secure feeling of having a job and getting a consistent paycheck without having to go work for someone else. This next account is the tax account. So we all know we need to set aside for taxes, but pretty much 90% of the clients who come to me aren't. And then tax time comes and you want to crawl in a hole when your accountant gives you your tax bill. But this way, your money is already set aside. When that tax bill comes, it's no sweat, it's no problem. The money's already there. And then finally, you allocate to the operating expense account. So this is the account that is now going to tell you what you can actually spend. After you've allocated and set money aside for these different categories, now is when you make your expense decisions. Now is when you decide how much you can afford. Now is when you decide, hey, can we go get that new truck? Can we go get that new fancy piece of equipment? So this system, as I said before, really forces you to think and innovate in your purchases and control your spending so that you actually are profitable. All right, so my client before, who was negative $22,000 when he came to me, even with a $3 million company, after a year of having Profit First in place, he then was profitable $250,000. He had a $270,000 swing by having Profit First in place. So instead of just hoping or praying or crossing your fingers for profit, this is an actual workable, easy system to ensure that you are profitable and guarantee it. All right, if you're sitting there thinking, this Profit First thing sounds great, but I don't even have any money right now. I don't even know where to start with this. I want to help you with that. My team and I will do a free profit leak audit for you. We'll find 3 to 5 places your profit is leaking currently. Most business owners find thousands of dollars of leaks within the first 30 minutes of this call, and we'll show you exactly how to plug them. Click the link below to book your call today. All right, so here's the thing. You definitely need profit, right? We've determined you can't have growth without profit. But the next problem most people run into is they want to get out of the day-to-day of the business. So maybe you're making a lot of profit and we've solved that problem for you, but now you're drowning in work still, right? You're still working 40 to 60 hours a week. You're missing your kids' ball games. You're not able to go on vacation, whatever it may be. This is why it's also super important to have other systems in the business that help you delegate and get out of that day to day. Now, maybe you're even delegating already, you have a team, but that team is coming to you constantly with questions. They're calling you, they're texting you. You can't get away because they're all coming to you. This is because you don't have a proper delegation system in place. You're still disorganized in the operations of the business. And so even though you're delegating, it's actually taking up more of your time to babysit your employees. The main mistakes I see people make with delegation are twofold. First, they usually aren't empowering their team enough or giving them enough training to actually take on the task themselves. If people are still coming to you constantly with questions, it's either because you haven't given them the proper training and tools to do the task on their own, or you haven't given them full responsibility and decision-making power in their role. The second mistake I normally see is being kind of a helicopter boss. So even though you've delegated this task, you've shown them how to do it, maybe they're even doing a really awesome job at it, you're still having to check in, you still feel like you need to monitor everything, make sure it was actually done. How do you know anyone's doing their work if you're not going in and checking that it was done? But this takes up time. You could have saved time and just done it yourself, but you're now giving yourself more work just to check on everyone else's work. This is where our 4 pillars of business basics comes in. Every business has these pillars regardless of industry. Every business needs to sell their product or service, then they need to deliver what was sold, then they need to get more new customers to sell and deliver to. And then management is what holds this engine together. So this is a cycle that's constantly happening in the business, and then you need management to handle HR, finance, visionary future planning, R&D work, all of that to keep it all going. So most of the time, the business owner is down here in this cycle. This is the day-to-day work that most people are trying to get out of. And most business owners want to get up here in management. They want to be managing the thing. They want to be doing that visionary work, the future planning. They want to be able to step back, etc. So First, you're going to have to figure out how to get yourself out of this day to day. How can this engine be not dependent on you? So I had a client who came to me. He had a sign installation company and he was very much in the day to day. He had a team and he had the team doing tasks. But when I worked with him, I found out he was still doing a lot of these tasks. And it was simply because he felt like he had to. But once we talked it out, we went over the strengths of his team. We started taking things off his plate. And within the first month of working together, he actually went and took a month off from his business. He had his family fly in from out of the country. He hadn't seen them in years, and he got to spend a whole month with his family while the business kept running without him. So that's how powerful just implementing this one system can be in your business. So when I work with clients and they tell me that is one of their primary goals is to get out of the day to day, that's one of the first things we do is we do a sort of bottleneck constraint audit. Where are the places in these 4 pillars that are getting hung up on you as the owner? When is it actually necessary for you to step in? What can actually be delegated? I've had people come to me with very technical businesses that say, I'm the only one who can do billing because it's very complex and someone has to have the technical knowledge. And that makes them feel like they can never hand over that task. But you can hand over that task, and sometimes it just takes another person and another viewpoint to figure out how to do that. All right, so I'm going to give you my 3-step action plan now of how to use both of these systems together. The first step is to do a full profit first assessment. When someone comes to me, this is one of the first things we do in the first 30 days. And I take a look at your existing finances and give you an exact plan of how to get to the ideal profit first percentages. So if you're someone where your expenses are a high percentage, 80, 90%, it needs to be lower, it's not going to happen overnight, but I help create a plan with you of how to gradually shift things in the business and in your spending so that you can reach the ideal profit first percentages. The next thing we do in those first 30 days together is create your custom roadmap. So this is an ever-changing, ever-growing document that is going to house all the future plans for your business. How are we going to address each pillar in your business and optimize each pillar? What are the exact action steps that need to be taken in each pillar to move the business forward? Who's going to do those action steps? Are those necessary for you to do? Can they be delegated? And when are they going to happen? What's the actual deadline to get these things done? And even when your time with Matterhorn is done, you still have this document that you can be editing and using to plan and keep the business moving forward. And then finally, how do we know this is working? How do we know the plans that we've made are the correct plans? How do we know that profit first is actually making a difference in your profitability and your spending? We do this by monitoring results through key statistics. I'm sure you've heard those buzzwords of KPI, metrics, statistics, and maybe that sounds boring and businessy to you, but it's actually super, super vital to know what's working and not working in the business. So yes, you need to know your financials, and we're going to go over that in those numbers, but there's actually numbers associated with each pillar in your business. And this is how you know if that pillar is doing well, if it's not doing well, does it need help? Is an employee not doing their job? Is an employee a rock star and ready to be promoted? Having the correct metrics in place is actually game-changing for your growth. Now, you could do just one of these 3 steps that I talked about on your own. Yes, you could just monitor results. Yes, you could just have profit first. Yes, you could just get more organized in your 4 pillars and have better planning. But you really need all of them together. They're all powerful, but when you put them together, it's just going to take everything and amplify it. So if you have profit first in place, yes, you're profitable, but you're still unorganized and you still don't know what's working or not working because you don't have metrics in place. Now, if you have metrics in place, but not the other two, that's great. You know it's working and not working, but you're still not profitable. Data alone can't fix unprofitability. And you also now have no way of making an executable plan to fix anything that isn't working. And then if you do have some sort of roadmap or organization within the 4 pillars I mentioned, that's great. And you are probably moving along. But that's when you get into the scenario of being unprofitable while growing. Your expenses growing at the same rate as your growth. You're not able to find the inefficiencies in the business because you don't have any metrics or data to look at to back it up. So that's why you need all 3 of these pieces together. And that's why in our programs here at Matterhorn, we address every single one. Now, something I commonly hear is, I don't have time. I know I need systems, but I don't have time to implement all this. Here's the thing. This is why you need this. Having these systems in place actually saves you time. Instead of having employees coming to you at all times, they now are off working on their plan. They are fully trained in their role. Instead of scrambling to pay bills and make payroll, the money is already there and you don't have to worry about it. All right, now I know what you're thinking. This all sounds great, but I don't have time to implement all of this. I get it. I'm a busy business owner. I'm a mom. I'm a wife. All the things. It's a lot. But the thing is if you don't change anything, nothing's going to change. If you don't create any new time, then you're always going to be out of time. We all have the same 24 hours in a day. We've all heard that. So you have to figure out how to set the time aside to actually implement a new system to free up your time. I know it's kind of like a chicken or the egg. It's kind of a weird thing, but if you don't figure out how to make it go right and implement a new workable system, you are going to stay in the same cycle forever. I recently talked to a business owner and he had a goal of doubling his company. He had talked to our company 2 years ago, and now talking to me 2 years later, he was in the same spot. He had grown a few percent, but he had not reached his goal of doubling his business. But now he's coming back, which is good. But imagine what progress he could have made in those 2 years if he had taken action. Okay, now the other part of this is I can't afford to get any help to implement this. I can't afford Matterhorn. I can't afford any program right now. But again, think about how much you are losing and wasting by not committing to something. Everyone knows the term ROI, return on investment. If you put money into something that is actually effective, you're going to get more money out of it than you put in. That's the whole point of our program, and I would hope anyone else's program. If you don't change this cycle you're in with your finances, with your systems, nothing else will change. So you're going to have to put the time in. And secondly, you're going to have to put the money in to fix the problem. And now the other thing that I commonly hear is, I've tried this before. I've worked with other coaches. I've worked with consultants. I've done other programs. I've done group programs. I've done one-on-one, and it doesn't work. The thing is our program is different. First of all, this is actually integrated with financials, with the operation systems, and with the results-based system. All of these 3 things are needed together, as I already stated, and I don't know of another program that has all 3 of these components in one program. So the other factor here is our motto here at Matterhorn is, if you know us, you win. It's literally in our logo. And that means that we have a care factor that is higher than anyone else. No matter who we're coming into contact with, no matter if you're a YouTube viewer, in our school community, on our email list, on a sales call, or a paid client, I don't care. We want to make sure that you win, and that if you come into contact with us in our ecosystem, that you leave it better than you came. So yes, I apply this to all of our free content, but of course, especially with our paid clients, you're going to get the most out of us than anyone. So all of this reminds me of my client, Carol. She came to us just a couple months ago and she said, look, guys, I like what you do, but I just don't have time to do this. I'm working 40, 60 hours a week. I have a lot on my plate and I just don't have time to implement these systems. Regardless of this, she did sign up for our program. She's been in for a couple months and she's now my star pupil. She shows up to almost every call. She is taking action every week. We've already taken responsibilities off her plate. She's already implemented profit first. She's already collecting more money, all just in a couple months because she decided to take action and change the way that she was operating. Now, I gave her the tools, but she was the one who did it and she was the one who executed. So, this is going to be up to you to change your mind and change your actions to actually achieve what you're looking to achieve out of your business. If you're tired of record revenue months, but still staring at an empty bank account, it's time for a different approach. I've set aside time on my team's calendar for our free profit leak audit. During this assessment, we'll find areas in the business where profit is leaking and give you an exact action plan of how to address those leaks. Click the first link below to book your call now. And if you want to see exactly how we fix a business that has stopped growing, watch this video next. We'll go through our exact step-by-step strategy to handle a stagnant business. I'll see you in the next video.